We want to dig deeper now with former NATO Supreme Allied Commander General Wesley Clark. General Clark, thanks so much for being with us. What do you estimate is Vladimir Putin's calculation here? This Iskander missile going into an area that is full of civilians, not really a military target, and it's not exactly on the front lines.
It's punishment, pure and simple. It's the Russian way of war. If the Ukrainians are resisting, they should be killed. And that's the intent of the strike by the Iskander missile.
So, General, obviously the timing of this, I think, is significant too, because it comes as support for the war in Ukraine from the West is appearing to wane. There are some doubts about whether Congress will pass more funding for Ukraine here in the United States. Zelensky right now is in Spain trying to court support from European allies. What do you make of the timing of this?
So I think it's a calculated gamble by Putin. He believes, and I think this is wrong, but he believes that showing strength like this and punishing the Ukrainian people will discourage Western support. He believes that the West is weak, that our support will crumble if we see that Ukraine is helpless and losing, and we'll just cut our losses and walk away and give him Ukraine. I think he's wrong. I think incidents like this fire up Western opinion. And here's the thing: when this war started, no one expected, at least in the West, Ukraine to be able to survive and resist and push back on the Russians. It would have been a fait accompli over in a couple of 3 weeks. But as it's dragged on, as we've become more and more engaged in support, it's become more embedded in the fabric of Western diplomacy and U.S. global credibility. And this means Mr. Putin has got to understand that the conflict in Ukraine is coming closer and closer to touching U.S. vital national interests. Whatever agreement was set up in the beginning about red lines, about not hurting Russia, about keeping NATO out of the war, Mr. Putin is causing so much damage. There's so much escalation potential here that he should understand he's moving into a very, very dangerous place.
General, what's your message to members of Congress who are hesitant to send more aid to Ukraine on the basis of there being allegations of corruption, on the basis of there being a different set of priorities for some of them? They're more interested in funding domestic projects, some of them argue. What would you say to them?
Well, I'd say first that first of all, Ukraine is taking very strong measures to deal with the allegations of corruption. Secondly, as State Department has recently concluded, there is no evidence whatsoever that any U.S. military assistance has been diverted or gone anywhere but to the people who need it in Ukraine. And third, I would say that it's a major point of Russian disinformation that Ukraine isn't deserving of Western support because it's corrupt. I don't mean, imagine coming from Moscow, but that's the way disinformation works in this case. And the fourth point would be to the members of Congress: it's in the vital interest of the United States, increasingly so, that we provide assistance to a democracy that wants to align with the West, that's fighting vicious anti-humanitarian aggression. If we don't stop this Russian attack here, it will go elsewhere. We cannot trust Mr. Putin. He is untrustworthy. He has shown it time and time again. So this is a remarkable stand, courageous stand by the people of Ukraine. We're fortunate. It's not our U.S. soldiers in there. They deserve our support because they're fighting for us. And the U.S. Congress, every member should recognize this.
General Wesley Clark, very much appreciate your perspective on these matters. Thanks.